Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 12th Board of Works meeting for Lebanon Board of Works. Our first item of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll move on to the roll call members.
Mayor Gentry.
Present.
Jane Taylor.
Present.
Bill Stoner.
Present.
Dick Robertson.
Here.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Okay, thank you. We are all here. With that, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any corrections or adjustments to that? Okay, would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion a second. That was Alan. Jane made the motion. Alan approved. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, move on to department head reports. First department up is Chief Wormuth with the Police Department.
Good evening, everyone. During the period between 2/26 of 2018, today's date of 3/12/2018, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 758 calls for service. A total of 31 citizens were arrested for the following crimes: drug offenses, all evenly split between marijuana and meth, 12; wanted on a warrant, 13; driving while suspended, 2; operating while intoxicated, 1; battery, 1; theft, 1; auto theft, 1. A total of 11 handgun permits were issued by our office. On February 26th and 27th, Sergeant Ben Phelps attended training and recertified as a drug recognition expert and standard field sobriety test instructor. On March 1st, Officers Austin Scott and Ryan Williamson attended a first-line supervisor's course in Indianapolis. If you'll bear with me, I would like to read you something. On Friday, March 2nd, units from the Lebanon Police Department attempted to serve a warrant in the Hoosier Park area, or check that, Hoosier Estates. Observing known wanted subjects in a vehicle at the residence, LPD attempted to detain and arrest the subjects. The subjects fled and a police pursuit ensued. As LPD pursued the subjects, they were joined by Boone County Sheriff's deputies Clinton Stewart, Leon Galladay, and Jake Pickett. The pursuit wound around the city and entered into the Indian Springs apartment complex. As the public well knows, Anthony Baumgart exited the vehicle and, using a handgun, opened fire on officers pursuing on foot. Boone County Sheriff's Deputy Jake Pickett was tragically struck once and died in the line of duty. Anthony Baumgart was then shot and brought down by Lebanon police at the scene. The driver of the vehicle, John Baldwin Jr., fled from the scene in the vehicle with units from LPD and the Sheriff's Department in pursuit. The pursuit continued until it reached I-65 when Baldwin attempted to drive northbound in the southbound lane. He was involved in a motor vehicle accident, and then Baldwin was apprehended at the scene of the accident. It is impossible for me to place into words this past week. From the raw emotions of grief at the scene to the unimaginable outpouring of support our community has shown its police officers, it has been truly emotionally overwhelming. Deputy Pickett is, and always will be, a hero. He selflessly ran towards danger to stop a wanted suspect. He never shirked from his sworn duty, and he paid the ultimate sacrifice. Our prayers for his wife and family will continue for a very long time. I know God will love and take care of her. Tonight, I wish to attempt to speak of the brave men that fought the battle alongside Deputy Pickett, the men that were on the scene that horrible morning. I am so proud of them and love them as brothers. The public should know of LPD officers Austin Scott, Tommy Nash, and Boone County Sheriff's Deputy Clinton Stewart. After Baumgart was shot and brought down, the pistol he had murdered with lay inches from his hand. These brave officers of blue and brown closed on Baumgart, knowing he was conscious and still dangerous. With Officer Scott and Deputy Stewart covering him, Officer Nash pounced on Baumgart and handcuffed him so he could do no harm ever again. These three men, LPD officers Tommy Nash and Austin Scott, and Boone County Sheriff's Deputy Clinton Stewart, were the brave men to take a murderer into custody. I wish to recognize the bravery of Lebanon Assistant Chief of Police Brad Bailey, who ran towards the sound of gunfire that morning and never left my side as we, along with Deputy Stewart, tended to Deputy Pickett the best we could until relieved by Boone County EMS. The city needs to know of the bravery of the men and officers of the Lebanon Fire Department and Boone County EMS. These men, knowing we still had a possible gunman at large in the area, sped into the incident scene to render aid to our fallen brother, even though they knew the scene was not safe. Knowing an officer was down, they selflessly put themselves at risk to render aid. I will forever be grateful to them for their actions that day. And even as the event unfolded at Indian Springs Apartments, the police pursuit continued. Having heard on their radios, the pursuing units knew that shots had been fired and an officer was down. They knew it was possible that the gunman was in the car they were pursuing. When the driver, John Baldwin Jr., crashed, Lebanon police officers Captain Chad Morgan, Sergeant Aaron Altier, Detective Brian Spencer, and Officer Braxton Dubois bravely sprinted towards the car with no regards of their own safety and physically removed Baldwin from the vehicle and took him into custody. Members of the board, to simply say that I am proud of these officers and deputies does them no justice. I cannot find the words that would describe my feelings for them. These are brave, honorable men who put others before themselves. That tragic day, I can say I served beside true heroes. These men are cops in the truest form, and I am proud to serve them. Thank you to this city, to this county, and to this community. And God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Tyson.
I'm trying to wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said, Chief, and I know it's been you're right, challenging doesn't even come to describe half of what we've had to go through this last week, but again, I appreciate everything you and your department, as well as the Boone County Sheriff's Department, has done in this last time. So again, appreciate everything you guys have done there and appreciate your continued service for the city.
This community should be very proud of the men in blue and brown. The officers on the street are above reproach.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for him? No. I didn't think so. Okay, next up will be Fire Department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 132 emergency calls of service, logged 220 training hours, performed 27 commercial inspections, installed 1 smoke detector, and participated in 1 public education event. On Saturday, March 3rd, LFD participated in the American Lung Association's Fight for Air climb. Teams climbed the 47 stories of the Salesforce Tower in downtown Indianapolis to raise money for the American Lung Association. Thanks to the Hachette Book Group and the Kristen Linton family, Lebanon Fire was able to raise $533 to this cause. LFD came in first place in the firefighter team category. This week, crews are performing their annual work performance evaluations. Our firefighters must pass this test yearly. WPEs are a physical and skills aptitude test. We also use the WPE as a return to duty for firefighters that have been on an extended illness or injury. Next week, we are hosting a 3-day class called Saving Your Own. The class will focus on the extrication of a downed firefighter that is unconscious or injured. Students will be put into a high-stress environment. They must negotiate through an obstacle course under low visibility and remove a downed firefighter through an entanglement. We have invited Whitestown and Center Township Fire Departments to join us in this training. Work continues on the 9/11 monument. Crews from John Lasley's Outdoor Solutions are working on the retaining wall. We are still on track for a grand opening the first week of May.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the board?
Yeah.
Congratulations on your climb.
Thank you.
Were you first of your team?
No. I completed it.
Congratulations.
I completed it. A lot of young legs to contend with, but I did complete it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Jack.
Any questions from public? Okay. All right, next up, Parks, John Messenger.
He's a tall guy. Good evening. Thank you to the Public Safety and Tyson, Chief Wormuth, and your crew. Thank you very much. Anyway, Board of Works, here we go. We are starting interviews for the Programs Director position this week. Very excited to get this process going. Seeing as we have over 30 applicants, we are hoping to have a decision made by the 1st of April. Looking forward to that. Got a bunch of good applicants, to say the least. Lebanon High School baseball season started. Their first practice began today. Of course, it's snowing out there. Everybody's filling out their brackets, tournament time. What do you expect? It's Indiana. There you go. But anyway, wish them luck, and they're using our facility at Memorial Park, and we're real happy to have them. Easter egg hunt this year will be March 31st, day before Easter, at the Her Cabin at 10:30. The Easter Bunny will be present. So get out there and get your pictures with the Easter Bunny after the Easter egg hunt is done. The Daddy-Daughter Dance will be April 14th from 6 to 9. The dance will be held at Herman B. Wells Community Room at Lebanon High School. Tickets are now on sale, and they're going fast. There's a lot of them. Nobody will be turned away, though. Got plenty of room out there. Can't wait for it. It's a great event for all the daddies and daughters. I think everybody has a little piece of that. Anyway, $15 per couple and $5 per additional child. There again, I don't know how many we've sold, but a bunch, but that's all I had.
Okay. Thank you, John. Any questions for John? Any questions from the public? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Next up, Kevin Krulik, Engineering.
Thank you and good evening. Engineering report for March 12th. A brief update on East Street. Work has slowly restarting up again on East Street with the weather has not been real conducive. Would remind everybody we have still some Woodland Drive work related to the water mains and water services, as well as in curb, asphalt, sidewalks, landscaping to the south of Prairie Creek. Work done in the last week had to do with just some mobilizing of our contractors, some additional construction staking, regrading of the stone once again from the IGA area down to Washington Street, just trying to clean up those potholes, a never-ending battle with the stone and the weather patterns we've had. And then the only other update really for that project is tree completion forms are actually due on Friday. We're getting a few that are coming in today. If you still have those, I need those as soon as possible. We're trying to wrap up our tree selection and tree order by middle of the week and get that in the hands of the contractor so that those trees can be planted in the next 30 days. Northern Interchange study, not a lot to really present tonight. Just know that our consultants are hard at work collecting data, traffic counts, accident, crash data, working with NDOT to obtain traffic volume and other criteria that will color this study as we move forward. And once we've continued this sort of data gathering phase, we will look to have our first initial public planning session. I'd look for that sometime in the next 30 days, but we're not ready to announce that date just yet. But I will remind everyone that residents in that area will be invited so that we can gather their input on where the most likely and most feasible location for that new Northern Interchange might be. Downtown action plan. A lot more activity, especially tonight. We will be opening bid packages later this evening. Unfortunately, we have one bid package that we've received as of 5:30, unless there's someone in the room that has not presented a bid package and was in the room prior to 5:30, but not seeing anybody raise their hand, I can confirm we have one bid package that was received before the deadline. All required right-of-way acquisition actions are pending at this point, most pending legal review. And the board will consider approval and acceptance of those matters later this evening as well. Legal review for our construction inspection contract is also going. Professional services to be provided by Butler, Fairman, and Seifert. We are also seeking resolution later this evening to transfer rights-of-way from the City of Lebanon to the Redevelopment Authority for the purposes of issuances of lease rental bonding for the project. That will also come up later this evening. As you can see, a busy evening related to our downtown action plan. regarding our pavement asset management plan. That work is also slated to begin here shortly, although we do need to wait for spring to officially get here. We need some temperatures above freezing to truly evaluate subgrades and pavements. Jameson Street Bridge removal. Happy to report that drainage work continues on that, but the bridge deck itself has been removed. I left some pictures on my desk. Maybe Larry can share those with me. He graciously went out and took some pictures here later this afternoon. But the bridge deck is gone over Prairie Creek, just south of Busby. Oh, thank you. You can see that there. I'm not for sure how to zoom the new equipment here. You can get the gist of it there. That is from the bridge on Busby Street looking southwest towards where the Jameson Street Bridge used to cross. You can see there's noticeably no bridge there anymore. So that work continues. And as I said, we're continuing the coordinations with the county. This is a county, Boone County project, and we are working on drainage issues in that immediate vicinity. Regional Industrial Pretreatment Facility, no new updates to provide at this time. The project continues to move forward. And with that, that's all I have from an engineering department.
Thank you, Kevin. So I have a question concerning the asphalt plants. Do we have any estimated days when they're going to fire those back up again? Do we know that yet, or?
It would be usually sometime around. I guess I should just state that I'll have to get you a better answer. Okay. Typically, I would say mid-March to early April is when those plants start to open up again, and you typically don't depend on it until the 1st of April, but it also depends on what other projects are under construction. If there's large NDOT paving work that's being done, then plants may open sooner, but typically we don't depend on plants being opened until we get to April.
Okay, thank you.
I think as Indianapolis, they had to pay a premium to start the plants up.
It's a good point. Yep. Our office received some comments saying Indianapolis is filling potholes. Why aren't we? Well, one, we are filling potholes. Larry can vouch for that. We have our own hot box, and we are filling potholes. But as far as access to asphalt plants, Indianapolis pays the premium for those asphalt plants, for one asphalt plant to open up, and they pay for the exclusive right to use that plant. Yeah. So it's not as if we could use that plant just because it's open for Indianapolis's purposes. So,
gotcha.
Good point. Thanks, Dick.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Next up, Planning Department, Ben.
Good evening, board members. Planning Department operations over the last couple weeks, we did complete 43 building inspections. So it's we go 2 weeks where we only have about 10 or 12, and then we have 2 weeks where we have about 40 or 50. So this time of year, it's kind of hit or miss, but we do expect that trend to go upwards as we start getting the warmer weather and construction projects move forward. We did also issue 28 building permits for various activities over the last couple weeks, including 2 new single-family homes. So we are seeing some construction activity pick up from that perspective. Code enforcement operations, again, we continue to receive a number of trash and debris complaints. And one thing you'll also notice is Makeda is proactively going out with a member of the police department at least once a week to tag junk vehicles. And so you'll see that we're regularly on a weekly basis tagging close to a dozen vehicles. And so over the last 3 weeks since she started, there's probably about three dozen or so vehicles we tagged. Several of them have been towed. Many have been removed. So we are making a concerted effort to get out and do some of those things. And as we look to add to our code enforcement operations over the course of the year, we will do the same thing for other things like junk, grass and weeds, et cetera. We'll kind of go out for a month or two and really hit those things really hard and be proactive about it as well. From a project perspective, the comprehensive plan is still in its early stages. We are working to identify and assemble the steering committee right now, which for those of you that are familiar with projects like this, the steering committee will participate throughout the project. It's about 15 or 20 people that represent a good cross-section of the community, and they're essentially the sounding board for the consulting and staff team throughout the project. So again, that steering committee will be formed over the next week or two, and they'll have their first meetings with the consultant starting in April as well. Permit software does continue to move forward. We are working with them just to do some additional items, and we do expect to roll out in early April. So that'll be a really big benefit for the planning department and engineering department from our operations side. And just one additional note, tonight at the RDC meeting on the former Estes building, we're asking the RDC to approve distribution of an offering sheet for the Estes building, which also includes a series of requirements for those responses in terms of experience with operating and managing co-working, makerspace facilities, entrepreneurial facilities, putting together financial planning, et cetera. So that with approval tonight, will be in the papers the next couple of weeks requesting offers. Expecting to open those potential bids at the RDC meeting in April, and ideally, if everything goes well, we'll be making selection in May. That's all I have for this evening.
Ben, on the planning, the software,
Yeah.
on the I forget what we call that. Do we still have the constituent reportability with that? You could touch on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, sure. So a component of that is really going to be beneficial on the code enforcement side. They have an app that people can download to their phones that will allow them, when they see something that they would like to report to the city, whether it's a junk car, a pothole, a tree overhanging the street, they can open that app and they can click on a location on the map, and there will be a pull-down menu that says what type of complaint it is, and it's just as simple as that. Within 30 seconds, you can report something like that to the city. We will get that in our system, and we can respond to it within 24 hours. So it's something really simple and easy for community members to be able to pull up an app like that, mark a location, and submit something like that to the city so we can respond to it more effectively and quickly.
And that'll go live this spring as well?
That will go live in April as well.
Great. Everything good. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Tree Department, Larry.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Board. Going back what Kevin was actually bringing up on the hot mix situation with the plants still closed. They have been working out there at the 267 plant, but it's weather, temperature, and things like that, and then also the amount of work that's going to incorporate in with that. So we're hoping to get mixed sometime in April. That's usually when it happens, but like I said, it all depends on the projects. But we are staying on top of the chuck hose for the city, and then also we've been working in the annexation part today. We had the hot box there, so we do have the winter mix, and we're able to warm that up, and then it goes in the hose very well. Last week, when the temperatures were up, we were able to row a few areas. We're having some calls on North Street where that sewer project, stormwater project is going through. We filled those up again, so got that taken care of. The street department is also continuing to pick up city easements throughout the city. We're going to start again this Thursday and Friday. Also, we've had a couple calls coming into the city there at the Lafayette Avenue Bridge, which is NDOT area. But we're going to go ahead and start to clean that up. It's terrible. It's just coming into one of our gateways, and I just don't like it. Some of the other important dates that's coming up, Street Department, is our Yard Debris Week, which will run April 2nd to April 6th. And that is the opportunity where the residents can get out and get a chance to rake up the old leaves that's been there all winter long, collect up some debris from their yard, the leaves and things like that. Just remember that when this happens, be sure to keep the lambs separated from the leaves so it's better to pick up for us. Also, the other date, and be more information coming to this, the next council will be our annual spring cleanup, which will be April 27th and 28th. The reason I'm saying this again, because we've had a lot of calls. So I'm hoping everybody will take pride in the city and clean up their properties, and it's free disposal for our city residents. And that's all I've got for right now, sir.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Any other questions from the board? No. Any questions from the public? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
All right,
Larry.
next up, Communications, Community Development, Jill LePage.
Good evening, everyone. Just a couple quick things to update you on. First, our absent issues for March is coming up this Wednesday from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. at 32 Bar and Grill. As always, appetizers will be served. If you remember, our first session was in the evening. We gave you evening appetizers. Our second session in February was in the morning. Had some little breakfast grab and goes. This time it's during lunch, so we hit all folks of all walks of life and all hours that they may work. This time around, we'll be talking parks programming and the future of the Parks Department and some of the things going on there. So exciting stuff happening, a lot of new things, and looking forward to hearing more from our Parks Department. Also, Lebanon City Market. It's hard to believe, but time flies. The first market is coming up on May 4th. Some things that are happening new this year will be every Friday from that May 4th date until October 5th. From 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. You may remember it was downtown. It was the first and third Friday, and it was from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., going on a more regular basis. And the vendors have really turned out, and that was what we heard from them, is they wanted to participate in a market. It was a weekly market, and so we're getting a tremendous early crop, if you will, of vendors that want to be part of Lebanon City Market. Also looking at a new location for that, wanting to set up and need to be approved, but want to set up in the former Kincaid, former Estes parking lot that's there right off the main drag. We feel like that would increase traffic to the market, increase popularity, and enable us to put some signage and things to attract folks to that. And so we feel like those two efforts will be a boon to the market. So still some time to be a vendor. The Heart of Lebanon organization is the place to send your message, and their email address is heartoflebanon@outlook.com. Newsletter coming up pretty soon, taking updates and information about events that are going on. John mentioned the Easter egg hunt and also the daddy-daughter dance. Both those events are on our website currently. If you have an update, if you have an event you'd like to put on the website, send that information. Maybe a picture is also helpful to info@lebanon.in.gov.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe? No. Any questions from the public? Okay. All right.
Joe.
And last but not least, Kevin with the stormwater update.
Thank you. In the future, Mr. Newell, Dave Newell, the Stormwater Administrator for the city, will be making this presentation. We intended for him to start that this evening, but unfortunately some family emergencies took him away for the evening. But I can't thank him enough for all the hard work that he does for our Stormwater Department. Since the last meeting, he's taken about 6 calls for service throughout the city. He does a good job responding to all those within a 24-hour period. Continues weekly inspections on all of our active construction sites, such as Auburn Meadows, East Street, Stokes Commons, Ken's Foods, Witham Hospital, Pizza Hut, and there'll be several others that will fire up here later this spring. And does a good job continuing to work to clean debris from our storm sewers, our inlets, and our drain pipes. So thank him for his service. And as I said, in the next meeting, we look forward to having him take over this report. You won't see me popping up and down all meeting. So.
Okay. Any questions for stormwater for Kevin? From the board? From the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes department head reports. Now we'll move on to old business. And I don't have any old business unless there's something from the board.
No.
Okay, with that, move on to new business. And the first item I have up here, Kevin mentioned earlier, is the bid opening for the downtown streetscape and Big 4 Trail project. I'll turn it over to Kevin.
Yes. As of 5:30, per our notice to bidders, we've received one sealed bid envelope. It is from White Construction, and I will open that now.
Kevin, before you open that,
Okay.
I got a comment, Mayor.
Yep.
I'm kind of concerned that we've only got one bid on a project this size. And I would hate for us to delay this project. I know it's something we want to really get started, but I'm just concerned we've only got one bid on this project, and I'd hate for him to open this thing up. And I think we should probably try to look at starting over and rebidding this process again, so we can try to get some more bidders.
Well, I think we advertised.
I know we did. I know we did everything right.
Right.
Okay? But we only got one bidder, and it's a $10 million project, and I'm concerned we only got one bidder on a project that size.
Well,
And
my only concern though, Dick, is I don't know if we extend the bid date, if we'd get any more bidders with it. I mean,
you can't expend it, you're going to have to rebid it.
That's correct.
If we don't accept this bid. I don't think we should accept this bid. And I think we ought to rebid this project and hopefully try to get some more bidders.
Well, I
On a
don't.
project this size.
I understand your concern. I think we went through I think we gave ample time. We answered how many RFIs on this
I think there were
bid?
14.
14 total. So, I think we went through the proper procedure with it, and I don't necessarily think that extending the deadline necessarily helps us.
How many people showed up to the pre-bid meeting?
I don't remember the total number of people in the room, but there were basically 4 general contractors that you would typically consider eligible for bidding work like this. There were several other subs and suppliers in the room, but.
Did we have any other companies that reached out and said, "Hey, sorry I missed the meeting. We planned to make it, couldn't make it, something came up"?
No, we didn't hear anything from anyone that said they couldn't be there or any kind of struggles of that nature. Generally, I think we talked with a lot of contractors through the process, and I would say generally this is probably indicative of where I think the construction market is going right now. Things are just a lot more competitive. There's been a lot more capital freed up for construction, and I think you're just looking at a very busy construction season coming our way, not just in the city, but statewide, and there's just not as much for contractors have a lot of work to bid on, so they're having to be more selective on where they're going to spend their time putting bids together. So I think that's kind of where we're the victim of right now. It's just a robust
personally, I think we should still open it, and again, we can look at it and make sure it's reasonable and fits all the legal requirements for the project as well too. We don't know what that bid has been selected as.
I would just like to ask for some legal opinion here in terms of this issue or question that's been raised, and whether or not opening that bid is the proper thing to really maybe do.
Yeah, I think, Mayor and Board, legally, my positions is that we're required to open it, and that all we're doing is opening the bid tonight. We're not accepting it. Kevin's going to review it, and then he's going to make a determination and a recommendation to the board if that's, meets the statutory requirements, which is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, and that'll need to occur at a later meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would echo that all we would be doing tonight is opening. We're not legally bound to accept anything. In fact, acceptance would have to be a separate action that would happen. We will probably call a special meeting before the next meeting to come in and accept a bid if we're going forward, not to take anything away from any action the board might take here before opening. But assuming we go forward and open, we would have to qualify the bids. We would have to review the bid documents, assuming that they are responsive and responsible. Then there would be a recommendation back to this board to accept that bid. I would tend to agree with Rob, and I would obviously defer to council. We've noticed that we are opening the bids. This contractor has done everything we've asked them to do in our legally required public notices. I don't know that we can not open the bids, even though it's just one.
My only concern is if we open the bids and we reveal what his price is, and we don't accept that based on we'd like to get another bid, we've got his price already out there on the table. And if we go to rebid it, that poor gentleman's got his price out there.
I understand.
On public record. Well, that's not fair to him.
Well, and what's the legal requirements that it's?
Yeah, it's the lowest responsive and responsible bidder that needs to meet the statutory requirements in the bid package that was sent. So, that's what Kevin, again, at a later meeting, working with, I'm sure, Riemann Schneider, will make a recommendation to this board of what his decision is. So that's not being done, though, tonight.
And that recommendation could be to accept, could be to reject the bid and repost, and everything. I guess so it's clear. I think it's been stated, but we couldn't just extend. We would have to renotice, rebid the whole thing. We are starting over. That's probably a 4 to 6 week proposition before we would be opening bids again. And my fear would be that unless the project materially changes, and I don't think anybody wants to materially change the project, I don't know that you see any more activity from contractors later into the construction season. You know, this is the time of year when contractors are scheduling their crews for the year, if they haven't done so already. So I think pushing it out later doesn't necessarily mean we get any more activity. And generally speaking, it would mean your numbers would typically be higher because most of those contractors have spoken for their schedules for the year.
Okay.
We get less activity, yes.
Exactly.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we need to proceed with opening the bid at this point.
In a perfect world, this comes in under budget, and we can qualify this bid, and we're ready to move forward. I do understand the concerns. I'm very much concerned as well. I fully wish we would have had 4 or 5 to open, but we don't. So,
go ahead and proceed and open the bid then, Kevin.
Okay. Okay, as I said, this is from White Construction at 3900 East White Avenue in Clinton, Indiana. Included in the bid package is the bid form. They've included the bid supplements cover sheet. They've attached the drug program. Non-collusion affidavit, E-Verify program documentation. They've included the requested unit price forms. And again, there are 7 pages of unit prices. We'll have to qualify those, but those seem to be present and accounted for. They've included the requested alternates, AIA contract forms.
And just to clarify, Kevin, we'll be reading the base bid, which is the 3 sides of the square, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, appropriate bonding and bonding letters are also attached. So at first glance, obviously, we'll qualify these things, but it appears to meet the bid proposal package requirements as stated in the bid forms. The base bid price that they have entered in is $7,193,000, $0.00.
Okay. Rob, does he need to read the alternates?
How many alternates are there?
There's 1 alternate.
And what was the alternate number?
The base bid would include all the work around the square and Main Street west to and including the intersection of West Street, as well as the INDOT intersection improvements at State Road 39 in Washington, State Road 39 in Maine, and State Road 32 in Meridian. And then the alternate would include Main Street west of West Road to and including the intersection of Patterson Street and the mill and overlay of Patterson Street and the trail construction along Patterson to meet with the existing Big 4 trail that currently terminates on the west side of Patterson.
What's the number on the alternate?
The alternate bid is $4,193,000, $0.00.
Okay. Any further action needed there, Rob? Okay. Sealed bids have been opened and read for the public, so we are in compliance with that statute. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Next, we'll move on to the board consideration.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Kevin, what was the engineer's estimate?
The engineer's estimate for the total project, including contingencies, was $9,255,036.07.
Included the alternates?
Yes, that was the entire project.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All All right, move on to the board approval and acceptance of right-of-way settlements for the downtown streetscape and Big Four project. It's still Kevin.
Yes, thank you. Got a few images to put on the Leroy here. Okay. Sorry. New equipment here, not sure how to zoom. Is anyone? There. It's touchscreen? That'd be nice.
Good one, Corey. There you go.
Oh, thanks.
There you go.
There you go.
Ooh, just hold it.
That helps.
Okay. So what we're looking at here is a view of the overall length of the project, starting at the west end, at the intersection of Patterson Street and Main Street. As most people know, the ARC facility is located at that northeast corner, and then Main Street goes off to the east towards downtown. As we continue down the project, this is the intersection with the Lafayette Avenue. This is the location of the Edward Jones office. Continuing east, this is the location of the Boys and Girls Club. This is West Street, and then as you see there, that is the courthouse square. North, obviously, being up. Lebanon Street, State Road 39 is on the west side of the square. Washington Street is on the north side of the square. The east side of the square is Meridian Street and Main Street to the south. Going back to the west end of the project, there were, we started off looking at right-of-way acquisitions and areas where historic properties, if you will, historic deeds, historic title records owned to the center line of the street as opposed to the right-of-way line, trying to clean those things up. Go back to here, there's a couple items I would point out. So the blue highlighted areas here are areas where those adjacent property owners, their title records showed ownership all the way to the center. So this is the ARC properties on this west end. And then as you go further to the east, we've got the properties that are here is the Village Pantry and O'Reilly Auto Parts. And this is a piece of property owned by Tammy Properties. This is the vacant piece of property that sits here along State Road 32 and Main Street. These properties also owned portions of what we would call the apparent right-of-way. And then there was one house just west of the Edward Jones office that also owned to the center line. So those are important because that included some of the primary right-of-way acquisition actions that we were trying to take. First one I would show you would be for the Pratt storage area. This is the old railroad right-of-way property. The trail currently extends to this point. This is Patterson Street, and Pratt Storage owned land out to the center line of the road, or their title records showed to the center line of the road. So we're cleaning up that there to where we need right-of-way to accommodate the Big Four trail turning south and going towards Main Street. This is that same area here with the overlay of the property improvements. So you can see the trail currently stops at the edge of the pavement for Patterson Street. We will be punctuating that terminus with a node and some decorative pavements there, taking the crosswalk across the street, another node to punctuate that turning point on the trail, and then continuing south. So this is Pratt's storage in this area. So there is the right-of-way dedication that they have provided to clean up the right-of-way to the proposed right-of-way line at the back of the trail. Continuing south, we go on to the ARC properties. So again, what you can see there is the ARC properties. Again, the trail continues south. We're asking for the additional right-of-way to construct the trail along the east side of Patterson Street. And then as we continue east, on the south side, there's no additional right-of-way needed. On the north side, again, they own to the center line, so they are dedicating that right-of-way to the city with about 2 foot of additional right-of-way compared to right-of-ways further east of here, and that's to accommodate lighting, to place light poles within the right-of-way. From a deed exhibit document, this is what will be attached to the deed to show the dedication of these right-of-ways on ARC. And both Pratt and ARC have agreed to these dedications in principle. As you continue to the east, we come to the Village Pantry. This is the Village Pantry dedication exhibit. Again, they're not dedicating additional land really for the road. They're just dedicating where we have a parent right-of-way and they have an overlapping title issue out to the center line of the road. So there's no additional widening of the street, apparent right-of-way in this area. It's just cleaning up some old title records. So that is the Village Pantry dedication. Immediately east of that is the O'Reilly Auto Parts dedication. Again, same situation. O'Reilly Auto Parts owns to the center line of Main Street. So this would be dedicating to a right-of-way consistent with the other right-of-way plats in that area. And then we have one property just east, the vacant property just east of O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is currently owned by Tammy Properties, LLC. You can see they have a small area, 0.02 acres of land, again, where they own to the center line. You might notice there's some unique geometries between this parcel and the Village Pantry parcel. This is because of the old railroad right-of-way that cut through that area. That's what draws those weird lines there. And then jumping across the street, again, we have John Erie and Vicki King own property just west of the Edward Jones office at the corner of Lafayette and Main Street. Again, their title goes to the center line of the road, so we're just cleaning that up. This is the line as it exists today surrounding the Edward Jones office. You can see all we're really doing is dedicating what is the existing apparent right-of-way and cleaning up those title lines. The next property is the Edward Jones office. We've got a little bit more colorful information here. Because there is a right-of-way dedication associated with this project. They are dedicating some right-of-way on the corner here that will accommodate a node for the sidewalk and trail system, making those pedestrian connections. This will also close off where you can drive across their property. So we feel this is a necessary public safety improvement. To better improve the safety, the visibility at that corner, as well as provide for those pedestrian connections there. From a technical standpoint, that's what the right-of-way dedication exhibit looks like. Again, 0.01 acres they would be dedicating to the city. Continuing east, this is not a right-of-way dedication per se, but this is the Boys and Girls Club property. Again, we have the existing right-of-way in that area, but again, we have some serious public safety concerns with the amount of free-flow pavement that exists. If you're familiar with the Boys and Girls Club property, you can basically drive seamlessly from the road up to their building. There's no defined parking areas. There's no defined curbs. So we've been working with the Boys and Girls Club to better align these areas and better improve safety, better accommodate the trail as we go through there. Just off of this is also a crosswalk that will be added that goes across the street to their existing parking lot. So again, not a right-of-way dedication associated with the Boys and Girls Club, but there is an agreement that we're asking the board to accept that will allow us to do these improvements off of outside the public right-of-way. Then the last piece is actually at the Boone County Jail, the old Boone County Jail, the Boone County Jail and Distillery place at the corner of Washington Street and Meridian Street. There's a right-of-way acquisition here on the corner. You can notice it by the thick black line there, and that is to accommodate the pedestrian activity and the circular node planter that will be placed on that corner as well. And there is the technical drawing for that right-of-way dedication that they are providing. Again, 0.001 acres. So very small right-of-way dedications associated with the project. Essentially, we are working within the public right-of-way or within the apparent public right-of-way, with the exception of the intersection of Lafayette Avenue, the intersection with Meridian Street and Washington Street, and then Patterson Street, where we're asking for the additional right-of-way dedication to accommodate the Big Four Trail.
Okay.
So with that, those are all the right-of-way dedications and right-of-way agreements that we're asking for your acceptance tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from the board? Okay. Rob, do we need to go through these one at a time? I know some of these are still pending too, right? So we can't.
Yeah, so we have essentially almost all of them finalized. Kevin's been working with his department and going through it. So it would be, I think, we could, Kevin's brief the board through those if we want to accept all of those, or I think that would be appropriate.
Okay. So I'll read this out loud for you guys, so you guys can just say so moved. Would entertain a motion where the board approves and accepts the right-of-way settlements for the Jail Property LLC, Sherry Baston, Tammy Properties LLC, John R. Airy and Vicky King, the ARC of Greater Boone County, the Lebanon Area Boys and Girls Club, O'Reilly Automotive, and VP Lebanon LLP.
One additional one that wasn't on the agenda would be Pratt Storage.
Pratt's not listed on this list.
We believe we already actually accepted that one.
Oh, did we?
We did. But Pratt Storage, if we failed to accept it earlier as well.
Thank you.
So that's the motion.
We done that one.
So moved from Dick.
Second.
No, I already made the motion. I need someone else to.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
So Dick is making the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those there say aye.
Aye.
Those approved? Those opposed? Okay. Motion is approved. All right, and those are accepted. Thank you, Kevin. All right, last item we have up here, and we're running up to a timeline here, is Resolution 2018-01, which is a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety authorizing the transfer of certain real property to the Lebanon Redevelopment Authority in connection with the construction of certain local public improvements. Rob, I'll have you explain and then read the resolution for us.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, Board. Catherine Finello's here, and she can go through the reason why we need to have this from a bond standpoint.
Okay.
Good evening, Catherine Finello, attorney with Krieg DeVault, serving as bond counsel. As Rob explained, we do need to make this transfer in order to issue the bonds. Basically, this has to do with the lease rental bonds that the Lebanon Redevelopment Authority is issuing to use the funds to construct the project that we've talked about. And that project will be leased to the commission and paid for out of tax increment in the Lebanon Industrial Park Allocation Fund. But to issue the bonds, the Lebanon Redevelopment Authority needs to own the property upon which the project will be constructed. So currently there are obviously the city's right-of-way is in the city's name, and the properties that are being acquired here and have been also, I believe, dedicated are in the city's name or will be in the city's name upon completion of the acquisition. And so we need to take steps to actually transfer this real estate to the authority.
Okay. Any questions for Catherine while we're doing it?
No questions, but I was missing exhibits A, B, and C.
Yeah, I think Mia handed those out to you if you didn't get it in the email transmission. So it will be a description essentially of the properties that Kevin went forward, and if you recall on the actual resolution, these will be, and as Catherine indicated, will be finalized or in the process of finalizing it. So this is essentially the formal process to allow the transfer once this property is finally acquired from the city then to the redevelopment authority.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Any further questions for Catherine? Okay. Rob, do you mind reading the resolution for us?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, Board. Resolution 2018-1 is again authorizing the transfer of certain real property to the Lebanon Redevelopment Authority in connection with the construction of certain local public improvements. The city property is going to be defined in Exhibit A, and B and C is going to be differing properties depending upon if it's been dedicated or if it's been gone through the process of the acquisition process, as Kevin alluded to. And Exhibit D and E, again, just describes the property in more further detail. The motion, or this resolution, would approve the conveyance of the subject property as defined in this resolution. It will allow for the mayor and the clerk treasurer or any of their authorized designees to execute any quitclaim deed in the form attached as Exhibit E. And the mayor and the clerk treasurer would also be, or their designee would be authorized and directed to take any such actions and execute any such instruments in connection therewith. And it would authorize me as the attorney for the board to act on behalf of the board to deliver the quitclaim deed and execute any other documents in connection therewith.
Okay. Any further questions, comments from the board? Any public comment? Okay. I would entertain a motion concerning Resolution 2018-01.
I would make a motion to approve the resolution.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, so it's Alan and then Bill. Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, Resolution 2018-01 passed unanimously. All right, that concludes all I have here under new business. Is there anything else to come before the board? Okay, and just under time limit, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Claims.
Oh, thank you. Good call. That's, sorry, I got ahead of myself. That's why. All right, so motion to adjourn is not accepted. Would entertain a motion to approve the claims.
I approve the claims. I make a motion to approve the claims.
I got one question, Mayor.
Yeah.
And I think I want to assume that this was money that was carried over from last year, because it all deals with, I think, in here, the Advanced Home Electronics Incorporated.
That's correct. That's
taken out of the
from,
rainy day fund. I'm assuming was everything that was carried over from last year that we approved last year.
correct. That was, we
Okay.
finally completed the project in here.
Okay.
I believe it was actually out of food and beverage as well, too. So
Yeah.
that's, so
Okay.
it's a non-budgetary item. But
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. Any further, so we have motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. And now I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. The redevelopment commission will begin shortly.
Dick approved.